This is really Just Stop. Here's Ross, the host with today's dose of common sense.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. How are you? Bam. No transition there. It's just like cut to the main thing. I'm playing around with some stuff. Don't worry about it. Today, we're going to talk about the J6 pipe bomber again. The reason why we're talking about it again is because I've already had to talk about it twice, maybe three times on here because of what's been going on with that investigation. Well, today they arrested somebody, and it's not Shauni Rae Kerkhoff. Like I said, it wouldn't be. So even though the FBI cleared her a few days ago, and it wasn't right to begin with. Now, in one of these videos at some point while doing this show, I mentioned that I didn't think that the bomber was a woman, but I don't know, I guess that turned out to be true as well. And people were wondering why the face, even though there was very little of the face that was visible, and sometimes it was blurred when the pictures were released, and I think they were doing that to hide the person's ethnicity so that it didn't taint the eyewitness or any kind of witnesses that came forward, kind of make them think that it was one person over another. But anyway, they have now made an arrest, and this guy, Brian Jerome Cole Jr., is a 30-year-old Northern Virginia resident. I believe it said Woodbridge, Virginia is where he's from. And 5 years ago, he planted these bombs, according to the FBI. They arrested him today. They searched his residence. He has no criminal record outside of a few moving violations. Got some tickets since the time of the J6 pipe bombing thing. We don't really know anything else about him. And there are some pictures out there. There are a lot of guys named Brian Cole Jr. and Brian Cole. So I'm not even sure if any of the photographs that I've seen, I guess I've only seen one of this person. I don't know if it's the right person, so I'm not going to share it. Who knows? In this age, you don't know what's what yet. So until they officially come out and say, this is the guy, here's his booking photo or whatever, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to share it, at least until somebody else has some confirmation, because there's no way for me to confirm it. So I just don't want to put his face out there and have that be the wrong guy, just like Shauni Rae Kerkhoff, and just like it's happened many times before. So I'm not going to participate in that. But Brian Cole Jr. apparently built these crappy pipe bombs and dropped them off at the RNC and DNC headquarters on the night of January 5th before the January 6th thing. Now, it's going to be interesting to find out if he had any involvement in January 6th, or if this just happened to be a coincidence, that it was something else. He was trying to make a point about something else. I mean, nobody could really... All right, well, some people could, because there was a plan to invade the Capitol. We know that now. And so some people did know that that was going to happen. So could it have been some sort of a ploy to, divide the forces that were on scene and make it easier to do that? I don't know. Was this person involved in J6 at all? Don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out those things, because it might be completely unrelated. This guy might have just been a nut job. I mean, he didn't even know there was going to be a gathering on January 6th or whatever. That would be funny, that it just happened to be a coincidence that it happened that day. I suspect there's a little more to it than that, but I really want to know if this person attended the January 6th rallies, and if they were involved in any way outside of that. If they were involved in any of those organizations like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and those guys who were involved in the literal planning of an insurrection. And that's why they received such huge prison sentences and were then pardoned by President Trump, because President Trump is a law and order president, and he only pardons insurrectionists and drug smugglers and financial fraudsters who donate to his campaign or his crypto thing. Mm-hmm. That's my TARDIS cup. Oh, boy. Anyhow, so this is a big development, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, what the hell took so long? Well, some people are speculating that the FBI, assigned a new task force to it or whatever, and they got some fresh eyes on it and reviewed some of the existing evidence. And one of the things that I read, and again, these are still early reports, and I don't know if there's any validity to it, but one of the things that popped up earlier was that this guy was on their radar before, that he was a suspect before, and maybe fell through the cracks or something, but they knew who this guy was from previous investigations or something into this incident. But I don't know. It's another thing I'm going to be curious about for a while until they come out and explain that, and that can happen. I mean, if you've got a list of suspects and you don't have anything definitive about any of them, then it can just sit there for a long time until some new evidence comes to light. And we don't know if that happened or not. I suspect that they saw something and it was maybe something that somebody didn't catch the first time around. And once they got some fresh eyes on it, they were like, oh, hey, look at this. Maybe we should go look at this guy. And I wonder if the impetus to some of it was that they erroneously, not them, but Shauni Rae Kerkhoff was publicly outed and accused of being the J6 pipe bomber. I wonder if that gave them a new sense of urgency, because these media, quote unquote, air quotes, media outlets were going to start naming people and throwing people under the bus and accusing them of major crimes. So the FBI kind of felt a little renewed urgency that they needed to really buckle down and see if they could at least arrest somebody. And so hopefully this is the right guy that they arrested, and they just weren't, let's pick one. I don't know. There's a bunch of guys. Let's pick one. But I was not convinced that the suspect was female anyway, and it had to do with the way the person stood when they were standing still. The person does appear to have a slight build, I guess. I don't know how tall the person is, but anyway, it had to do with their stance when they were standing still, and it's just a thing that from years and years and years of watching people, something that I suspected, but there was no way to prove that. And so, lucky guess, we could say it was a lucky guess, or we could say that I'm a genius. I prefer that. If everybody wants to say I'm a genius, nobody's going to, though. And nobody's going to apologize to me. So let me hold my breath until I get an apology. Sorry, that's just a joke, because none of those people who hated on me for the first two videos on this topic are ever going to come back and go, dude, you were right. We're wrong. We're sorry. And do the genuflecting thing. But it's an interesting development, and I'm very eager to learn more about this guy and more about the evidence against him. I don't know what they're going to release, because now you have to protect the case. Once you make an arrest, you have to protect the case and the evidence, and so they can't actually release everything publicly and say this is why we arrested him, because they still have to charge him and put him on trial and convict him with the evidence that they have, or the evidence that they're going to gather now from his house or whatever. 5 years is a long time to dispose of a lot of evidence. So I don't know what good that's going to be, unless he was involved in other extremist activities since then and just hadn't hit their radar. So there's that possibility. The guy was good enough to evade detection and evade the law for the last 5 years. So who knows what he's been up to since then. He may be involved with other extremist activities, or an extremist group right here in the United States, or even a foreign extremist group. Who knows? There's no way of knowing. I would suspect not a foreign extremist group. But he could just be your average nut job. And because, believe me, America has enough of those. We don't really need to rely on foreign crazies to get our crazy on here in America. We have our own brand, and we are good at it. We're really good at the chaos and stupidity. So there you have it. Shauni Rae Kerkhoff not the J6 pipe bomber, just like I told you weeks ago. And at this point, we don't know that Brian Jerome Cole Jr., 30, of Northern Virginia, is the pipe bomber, but that's who they arrested for it. So I guess we have to wait and see. So really nothing else to say about this one until some new evidence comes out. So that's probably going to be it until, there's some more press, or maybe, they start releasing things, pre-trial stuff. It's going to be federal, and that's going to annoy everybody because the federal system doesn't allow cameras in the courtroom. So it's not going to be public. You're not going to be able to watch the trial, watch the preliminary hearing. You're not going to be able to watch the arraignment, things like that. So your state and local courts are much better for that sort of thing because the feds don't allow it. So that's going to suck, just like the Luigi Mangione thing sucks, where, they can't have a camera in the courtroom. So this is where you get to see all those cool sketch artist depictions of what's going on in the courtroom. And I always thought that would be the coolest job ever. I was a bit of an artist when I was younger, and I loved sketching and drawing. And I thought, wow, that would be like a perfect job. But, never pursued it. I don't know how you get a job like that. It's kind of crazy because there's most of the places just put a camera in there now. So probably not going to know much about that. Just like the Luigi case, it'd be like after a week of hearings or something, somebody will come out and say something, and we'll get little pieces of information that might help us put a puzzle together. So hopefully they got the right guy this time, and it's resolved and it's over with. But I guess only time will tell. So take care of yourselves. Watch out for each other. Watch your six. Keep your powder dry. All that stuff. And when you're wrong, admit it. And apologize to people you were rude to when they were right. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Really? Just Stop with your host, Ross. Make sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss a dose of some common sense.